That's what you do. You buy these players that cost me and make a difference in it. But we never do that.
Never complains, gets up, gets on, with a smile on his face.
You just want him to sit in the chair and go, hip hip hooray, to the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old, every single day, without the truth. If you haven't seen it before, please watch the first two episodes, the second series.
We are on the site of the castle,
and it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
Hey everyone, it's me again. But you're fed up with me. You must be. I know I'm fed up with myself, to be honest. But anyway, it's great to be here. It's great to be talking about Liverpool history. It's great to be. It's going to be good. I always say that. So it's going to be good tonight. But it is. It is. It's going to be good. And the producer hasn't put me sponsors plaque. You know where I put it up. Thank him. Gap Painting Services. So when I see him, I'll have to kick his head in, you know, Jay's head in. So anyway, I'm sorry about Gap, you know. Listen, get them in. And I know that it's all on the description anyway, Gap Painting Services. If you're a pensioner, for example, don't struggle trying to paint. Just get these lads in because you get a special discount. They're in and out, they're fully time served, fully insured, just in case something happens. They're fully insured, so there's no worries. As I said, you get a great discount. And if you are an NHS worker, now don't forget, they saved me life at the NHS a couple of years ago. And they're fantastic, you know, the NHS. And if you're a worker for the NHS, no matter, even if you mop the floor, if you're a nurse, even if you're a top surgeon, you get a special discount. Don't struggle. Don't struggle trying to decorate your house, especially the outside, you know, painting the windowsills where you get ladders, and it's very difficult. It really is. So get them in. That's Gap Painting Services. And there it is, look. There it is. There's the number. See, that's when I said I'm going to kick Jason's head in, you know. To be honest, I couldn't kick the cat's head in, never mind. So anyway, there's Gap Painting Services, the wonderful sponsors of the Frank Carlyle show. They are the first class lads. Just get them in. Please get them in. There's the number. You'll find the number in the description. Just get them in. Please. And even if you don't fit into those categories of the NHS, or, you know, you're a pensioner of sorts, they're still reasonable. They really are. And they're not only domestic, but they're also commercial painters as well. So don't forget, you know, they're fully insured, and also they're fully time served lads, so they know what to do. So that's the Gap Painting Services. Now tonight, I've got my old Oppo with me. Yes, my old Oppo. The great artist. And you can always find his stuff on, you know, yeah, there it is there. Anthony Brown Art. You can search Facebook, Instagram, Google for Anthony Brown artist, and it all comes up. And see the wonderful work this man has done, and still doing, by the way, and still doing. And don't forget what he did. You know, he was commissioned to do a fantastic compilation of characters of Liverpool, of characters. And the title was 100 Liverpool Heads Thinking as One. Think about that. Some of the greatest of all Liverpool people, characters. Let's say, for example, the Beatles. The portraits of the Beatles. Fantastic. Fantastic. And you've got to look at it as well. You really have to look at Anthony's art. And just before I bring them on, I'll tell you what I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about architecture. Yes, architecture. I'm talking about Liverpool's involvement in the American Civil War. Do you believe? The America's involvement. But see, I've always said to people, even I've brought around some wonderful people from America, and they've been surprised about the connection, about characters leaving Liverpool, you know, coming from different countries to get to Liverpool, to get to America. Because I've always said, I'm actually quoted as saying Liverpool was the Ellis Islands of Europe. And that's where they were sailing from, Liverpool over to Ellis Island. And some of the unbelievable people that passed through. Scientists, politicians, or they all became like scientists and politicians and great Oscar winners. Coming here to Liverpool, going to school here. Two lads, I'm not going to tell you who they are, they're for another time. Two lads went to St. Francis Xavier's to learn the language. One was a little Russian and learned his language there, English language. These are kids, you know what I mean? They couldn't speak English, but they learned in the school. And the other lad, he was a Sicilian, and he learned his language, the English language. He was a kid. And this lad went on, this little Sicilian, went on to America, became very famous, and won an Oscar. So, you know, these are the type of people that came into Liverpool. And when I've been mentioning it to the Americans, you know, and I've said the American connection with Liverpool, there's no city in Europe that has more connections with America and Liverpool. And that's what I was saying to these Americans. But there was one fella, one American, who honestly, if you'd ever seen Fawlty Towers and you had that American in it who wanted a Waldorf salad, if you ever remember him, this fella was a mirror image. Hey, and we get up to Lacey Street, and I'm fed up with this fella already. So we get up to Lacey Street, and one of my favourite little streets is off Lacey Street, and it looks right up towards the Anglican Cathedral. And I stopped the group, you know, and I said, "You see that?" And they all went, "Wow." And even this fella said, "I think there's a bigger cathedrals down there." I said, "Yeah, okay." Anyway, I said, "Well, whether it's, you know, whether you know there's anyone bigger than this one here, you know, the Anglican here, that's fantastic, you know, I'm glad to know that you do know that." I said, "But makes no difference because it's being demolished tomorrow." And what's going to go on at site is a massive McDonald's that overlooks the city with a big yellow M. And they all went, oh, really? I went, yeah. Carried on more. Forgot to tell. Well, it is. I deliberately not told, that it was getting me into molest. But that's genuine. God, they told Raisy home as he said. He said, this guy who you said, sent to us to take us around, said that big red cathedral is coming down. It's starting today, being demolished. Is that true? He said, no, he's kidding you up. I'd love to have heard that Walsall fella. Wonder what he said. But anyway, sorry a lot. Gary, before I bring James Anthony up. So. Evening, Frank. Evening, Gary. Good to see you. Edward. Hello, Frank and Anthony. Hello, Edward. Edward, these lads love the history, especially they like say. I'm not saying especially, please forgive me, by saying that especially. But Gary is well into his history. I do know, and Edward, if you know what I mean. And look at this, Carmino Pila. And he says, hi, come stare, Pino. Amico mio, buonasera. Buonasera. Amico mio. Gary, Liverpool history is my favourite subject. Well, I'll be talking a lot about Liverpool history tonight. And I mean a lot. Anthony and myself. And lots of architecture, by the way. I don't know what to start with. The American involvement, Liverpool's involvement with the American Civil War, or the likes of my architecture. I love my architecture. I really do. To show people, build Klopper statue. Because even if Frank, are you? I'm okay. And he carries on by saying, are we allowed to speak about Trent tonight? Honestly, this is a history show. I try to get away from football build. Last night we were always, we went on it for 2 hours about Trent. And we've lost them. That's the only thing I'm going to say. We've lost our kid who's 6 years of age, went through the academy, grew up. All I'm going to say is it's a shame. It's a shame because all he wanted to do was captain Liverpool. But I will give you the hint of why he went. On the day Jurgen Klopp left and he was being presented with those things to try and calm the situation with the fans and everything else, after he said he was leaving, he was crying his eyes out, was Trent, because he was his mentor, Klopp was his mentor, and he cried. It's like losing your dad. That's how I felt for the lad. And he's just gone, I've had enough of this. I'm not staying here. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm going to say on the massive build. But if you want to know some history about Liverpool, stay with it. And Gary, a big red himself, says, no football, please, not tonight. And he carries on by saying, Roscoe Street, Frank, when I was looking up, showing Mr. Waldorf salad. Yeah, should have seen. And he had that Mac on as well. A big white Mac. Our American friends. Thought he was going to beat me up. I think he would have done. You'd have seen. Edward, Napoleons and the Sicilian, I'm sorry. Neapolitans and Sicilians are proud of where they yeah, like a Scouser, yeah, absolutely. Neapolitans are fantastic. They really are. You know, the likes of my family, they were very proud where they came from. Sicilians, Sicilia, absolutely amazing, amazing country. And yet I've been all over Italy. I can vouch for that. All over the mainland in Italy. I've never, ever been to Sicily. And I said, one day I'll go. And I didn't. And I don't know whether I'm too ill to go. I just hope that I get better. I really hope to get better. Pilgrim Street, says Gary Rigby. Yeah, that was it. Pilgrim Street. I actually did a DVD, you know, but I was looking down from the other end, you know, by the Fly in the Ointment, is it? Up from there. Anyway, Paul Bear. Good evening, Frank. Back from Tenerife. Good to be. Oh, time, isn't it? How long did you go? Thought you bought a villa there and stayed there for the rest of your life. I would have been following you over, I think, Paul. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I know that because you went for your anniversary with your lovely wife. And I made up, you know, that you've enjoyed yourself, got away from here for a while. No news, no nothing. That's great. And Gary, Napoli is the Liverpool of Italy. You're right. You're right. You saw the last time I was there was with the ex-partner. And she was blonde. Anyway, I needed something. We got bloody stranded, believe it or not. So we had to stay 3 or 4 days. Or, no, yeah, 3 or 4 days. It was 3 nights, 4 days, you know. And I needed toothpaste because what you do, you know, you get rid of all your like your things and whatever coming up. And I said to Chris, my one, I said, shall we go to the pharmacy and get this? He said, yeah. So anyway, I was talking to this pharmacist. He said, complimentary on your Italian. I said, oh, thank you. He said, I said, where's the best place to go and where not to go? And he told me. He said, you'd be all right to me, because I was very tanned. He said, but they'll know that she's a tourist. So I said, you'll have to go back to the hotel. I'm going to all these seedy places. And she was looking at me like that. I said, well, we can't. Never too late, Frank. One day, yes. Thank you, mate. Thank you, Paul. You're a good man. I wish you'd come and see me, you know, Paul. I'd love to see you, mate. Like this fella here. Evening, Frank Carlyle. Hope you are well, my friend. Yeah, thank. Good to see you, mate. Very good to see you. Will's been to me home. Will's been to me home. Will P. It's great to see you, Will. Honestly, it really is. And the Scouts Red. Hello, Frank. I recently had a pint in Peter, where it's rumoured Adolf Hitler drank when visiting his auntie in Rodney Street. Any truth in this, Frank? He went to the post house in Cumberland Street. Lots of people, brilliant characters went in there. And one of them is rumoured to be Adolf Hitler, who came over to see his sister and his brother, half-brother, Wilhelm, who worked at the Adelphi Hotel. But I don't know about I really don't know about my old mate owned that, to be honest, Peter Cabanas, and that was Jake Abram, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. No longer with us. Liam Molyneux. Good evening, Frank. Good evening, Liam. Yeah, now Liam is Irish. In the 80s, through this, in the 80s, 84% of Scousers had Irish blood in them. 84%. Don't know what it is today. It's not that today, unfortunately. Upper Stanhope Street, not Rodney Street, says Gary Rigby. Yeah, that's where his sisters. Yeah. Yeah. Marchtown, Anfield Road, Callum. The greatest of all Liverpool supporters, Coppite. He only stands on the cop and on the roof. He can't get a ticket. Hey, Frankie, bro. How's you? I'm okay. Good to see you, Callum. Yes, Frank, grandmother from Wexford. Absolutely, Liam. Absolutely. You know, as they called it, the Bogs of Ireland, they were proud. They used to say, I'm going back to like my grandmother's days. The Bogs of Ireland, and they were proud to come from the Bogs of Ireland. That's what they used to say, apparently. I'm just going to mention, before I bring on my great friend, I'm just going to mention these lads. And it's the old school cranks. Get onto this. And it's Steve Kilner. And he says, "Hey buddy, watched your Liverpool Unseen vids. Bloody awesome, pal. I run a yearly rally chopper, grifter, BMX bike ride around the city. We do all northwest cities and towns on bikes from the 70s and 80s. We had our first Liverpool ride last year with about 30 people turn up and they loved it. We go again on the 30th of March and your vids will make me look a Liverpool expert." Thanks, pal. Amazing info. I'll watch the vids over again. I'd love to invite you down to the Graces to meet the gang if you're free for half an hour, pal. And thanks, bud, Steve. And that's Steve. And his bike riders are called the Old School Cranks. I think that's brilliant. That Steve, if I'm fit enough, I'll come down, I'll get a lift down, and I'll meet you lads and give you some information about. And there they are. Look. What can you say? What can you say? These grifters. Well, I'm not calling these grifters, but grifter bike BMXers and whatever. And they were all the norm, weren't they? Then back in the day. Even what was it? E.T. as I think a BMX or whatever. You see him flying over. So yeah, I will. I'll try and answer your letter, your email. Thank you so much for sending that. And I will answer it. I promise you, I will answer it. And you'll have my personal email there. Okay, Steve, you're a good man. Thank you so much. And all the boys and the girls there are absolutely amazing, and all the bikes. I used to ride a bike when I was between 14 and 16. I used to ride, me and my little mates who I grew up with from 14 to 16, at the time. I grew up with these lads from the age of 2. We are very special friends, and We used to go on bike rides from Liverpool over to Llangollen and the Horseshoe Pass. We used to go every Sunday during the summer, obviously. It was just wonderful. It was just wonderful. And thank you, Steve. I will be in, honestly, my friends, I will be in touch. I will be in touch. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ezra says, that's right, Frank. My second name is Irish. So it's Edward Irish. I'm only joking. Been enjoying your Unravel series currently showing on YouTube, says Liam. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Liam. Great compliment that, Frank, from the biker. Yes, it was Edward. You know, it's really kind of these wonderful people. And Frank, do you remember the Speaker's Corner of the PRS? Wish they had kept it there. Everything goes, tradition. Listen out for me on Friday night about our traditions being, well, they're just vanishing, unfortunately. So look out for the current affairs Friday night. I'm going to bring my wonderful artist on. And it's this fella. It's Anthony. The work this fella's done is incredible. Absolutely amazing. And he's one of these fellas who's very unassuming. Very unassuming. He's very humble. And those portraits, I've got to show you this. Sorry about this. Just 1 minute. No, I can't show you because I can't find it. Unfortunately, it really is unfortunate because I would have showed you. He did a portrait of me to go and coincide with these 100 people, alongside the Beatles, alongside surgeons, alongside wonderful, wonderful military people. Everything, politicians, you name it. He's done great for Liverpool, and he did me. I couldn't believe it. You know, I was there. He am. There he am. And that's what Anthony did. That's what Anthony did. And what he did, he asked me, he said, get pictures. But I was going through a transitional thing at the time he was doing me. And I never had all the pictures. I was trying to get them back and I couldn't, not these ones I gave him, but the pictures that I wanted to give him, you know, from a little baby and things like that, and making me communion. And, you know, even as a young man, I just couldn't get them. Finally got them, but it was well too late. It was about 5 years later, to be honest. Got them in the drawer now, but it's too late. But, you know, imagine Anthony. Love the man. I'm going to bring him on now. want to bring the great man on. Very good friend of mine. And there he is himself. Are you having me?
Thank you, Frank. What a wonderful mention. Oh my God. Thank you.
No, because you deserve all the plaudits. Every plaudit you deserve, because people should know the amount of work that you've put into everything. Everything. It's and when you did me, I never ever told you this. I was very emotional.
Yeah.
I was very emotional. You didn't know that. And when we went down to see all that, my word, St. George's Hall, Anthony, when they were all out there,
You
it
worked
was,
with us that night, Frank. Remember? 7th of August, 2007. And I just said to you what we were going to do, kind of launch them. And the whole, God bless them, had given us access to all areas. Um, and you kindly did us the honour of a speech to
yeah,
introduce. We talked about Liverpool. You talked about Liverpool and the importance of its people.
there it is. Isn't he lovely? Isn't he, Jason?
Oh,
Uh, Look at all that. And what a setting.
ah, you could not. I dreamt it, you know. I dreamt it, and then at some point earlier on when we were doing it, someone had seen it, and we deliberately kept away from the obvious. Um, we weren't submitting it to the culture company or anything like that. We were just doing it because, Laney and I wanted to do it. It was to do with the 800 years of our beautiful city. And we felt that the best way to commemorate the city is through its people of, as you said, all walks of life, from teachers to bobbies to sportsmen to actors.
Everybody that you could imagine. And one of
Yeah,
our great friends, and that's even Stephen Graham, the actor, he said the greatest actor to come from Liverpool is Drew Schofield.
yeah. And I know you totally agree with that. And
Absolutely.
there he
There he
is.
is.
It's the man.
There he is. There's the man.
There's the man.
Everybody loves him.
Everyone loves him, and he's still inspiring countless numbers of people now as we speak, as are you, my dear friend, which is the most beautiful thing. And that Drew came out with a wonderful on the sidebars of each portrait. I asked people, did they have something they wanted to say, about Liverpool, about themselves, about others.
Yeah.
And Drew came out with the most magnificent sentence, which was, stand back, you see the face. Look close, you see the life. Because of the layers of complex stuff, which kind of sums up the whole thing.
Sums up everything. It's like a bit of philosophy, really, is it?
Yeah, that's just in life, it's as you said, that kind of, I wanted everyone in the exhibition to kind of be like-minded in that way. They all
Yeah.
thought of Liverpool with a passion, which most did. I made a couple of mistakes that I would rectify at some point, but lovely people. And we
Absolutely.
didn't know before we started. We we got to know him very well.
Yeah, and we did, didn't we? But you know, when you're talking about when you said, "Do us a favour, give a speech," right? I said, "Yeah, okay," and I gave this speech, as I thought, wonderful. Right? Given it. And do you remember at the end? You remember? There was a big fight between two politicians.
Ah, that's
But it
what
was all
yeah, that's what you were waiting for. That was the sadness of the time, because
no, no, everything was all over then. And,
yeah,
you know, people were leaving. And, you know, these two who were at loggerheads with each other,
yeah,
that's it, you know,
that
well,
was the
he
that was
wasn't fighting with anything.
against the council. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we were we one of our friends, and I know you know her too, was a wonderful lady, Angela Heslop, who
Angela,
who was the first person to ever mention my artwork anywhere, and she became a great friend, and she was in the show, and she said to me, "There's a couple of names. You want to phone them up? One of them is a writer for The Guardian, and one is a writer for someone else. Tell them what's going on, invite them down." So I did. I phoned this guy up, and I've forgotten his name, and it doesn't matter. And I spoke to him, and at the time, they were more interested in the idea of this conflict.
yeah.
You know, Liverpool Council and the Culture Company, and this fight, rather than what we were trying to do. So I just gave him the details and said, "Listen, this, you know, you got an invite if you want to come." And they didn't come on the day, but someone asked Jimmy McGovern that year, and Jimmy too is a dear Scouse, proud of where he comes from, and they had said to him, I think they were fishing for some sort of his opinion on the conflict, and he said to him, "What's the best thing to see in Liverpool for this year?" It was 1st of January 2008, so a couple of months after that show, and Jimmy said, "The best thing in Liverpool for you to see at the moment is a show called 100 Heads Thinking as One. And it's 100 different people, all with a passion about Liverpool." And he mentioned my name and stuff. And I thought that was the greatest compliment
Yeah,
ever.
because Jimmy is such a wonderful man, as we know.
And you
He's a
know,
great teacher.
there's a spotlight on him all the time, as with Drew, you know, and as with many of the people we've got to know. So the message got out there in the end through the papers, without the hostilities.
Well,
But that's
anyway, let's see what these lads are saying. The Will P. Hi, Anthony Brown. Hope you are feeling better than the last time, because you was coughing and spluttering.
Thank you, Will. I am. Apparently, it's a 6-week thing. I don't know if anyone's come down with it, and hopefully you don't. It's not very pleasant, but I am feeling 100% better than last week, and I think we're about 3 weeks in.
Well, you know, you sound a lot better, to be honest. And the Red
Oh,
Bird, yeah, look, our Anthony, see what I mean? Our Anthony. This means, you know, a sculptor. Our Anthony is a brilliant artist. He's a master for real, 100%.
Red Bit, thank you so much. That means so much. You know what? I've not got a piece of paper to my name in any kind of educational status. That blows everything away.
There you go. And these are the people who come on and they love our history, which I'll be
Yeah,
talking about in a minute or two.
yeah.
And Come on, Darryl, don't be coming out with things like that. Francolino, Antolino. That's
We'll go for
Darryl.
that, yeah.
That's
Not quite Sicily, but the Scouts have Sicilies.
Brilliant artwork, Anthony. I'm into sketching faces.
Me too, Gary. That was always my thing. Even when I was a kid, it's just there's more attraction for me in people's faces and emotions than there are in trees and landscapes, for all due respect. Yeah.
Paul Burke, good Kirby lad, is our Drew, right?
Oh, Drew's right, yeah.
And he carries on by saying, good evening, Anthony.
Good evening, Paul. Thank you.
And Darryl says, an hour and 10 minute chat with Frankie earlier. I needed that. Yeah, we had a great chat. We had a great chat, Darryl and I, chatting about everything. And about his little lad. Don't forget, Anthony, that the little lad, Austin, besides, Darryl.
Yeah.
Little Austin lost his mother a couple of months ago. And
I totally remember, Frank and Darryl. Please forgive my late response, but I am in the middle of doing a drawing for your little fella, as we spoke a few months ago. Thank you for your patience, and I'll get it.
Steve, can I come in there? The likes of Darryl, I've got to tell him that you can't just draw something and go, here. I'll show you something next week, Anthony. I always remember being at Merseyside and Bill Tidy walked in.
Yeah.
And he did me a sketch of the Liver building and the bird, one of the Liver birds flying off. And it was a cracking thing. He said, that's where you're at, Frank. There's you flying for Liverpool. That's what he said. I said, thank you. So it does take time. It really does take time.
Different things, Frank. It's you do quick scribbles and you do sketches and stuff, but I wanted to do something precise and right. So I don't think we're on next Wednesday, are we? So
no, I'm going to change the day. I'm going to we're going to do a history show because I've got. I might do it next Monday if you don't mind. Simply because I've got a pod about Liverpool and it's a pre-match against Everton, you see. So I've got to do that. So if that's which is on the Wednesday, and I'm doing a watch along as well. To be honest, so I'll be doing that Monday if you don't mind.
That's great for me, Frank. All I was going to say is that I will devote a few days now to Darryl and his young lad.
Excellent stuff.
My love.
And Christopher, hi Frank and Anthony and everyone.
Evening, Christopher. Evening, everyone.
And Darryl says, Anthony is our boy. There you go. So, I'll just go through these and we'll start talking. I really need to get into the architecture of this great city of ours. And Gary Rigby says, Drew is the new show. Drew is in this new show set in Liverpool. I watched the full series on BBC One iPlayer. He plays a coach.
And what's interesting, Gary, is that the episode that Drew's in, which I think is number 6, he's in, obviously his son, Bobby, is in the series too. So it's like Dad, and both of them are absolutely fantastic actors.
Yeah, they are, both of them, Bobby. Bobby he's a film star, isn't he? Really, Bobby.
Yeah.
He's a film star. And Will Peace says, I can't even draw. Neither can I. When Francine was a baby, she said, "Will you draw me a monkey?" And I went, "Yeah." And it came out like a lion. I said, "That's a lion."
Yeah.
So that's me out like it came out like a lion. I can't
But-
draw monkeys. Can't
But
even.
me, it was a sign of a misspent youth.
And the red birds. How's your bird, Frank? It's still on my chest. It's still on my chest. That'll never go away. The bird upon my chest. Lynn Ellis. Even if Frank and all. I'm in bed in agony with me, but I'm sorry about that. Lynn.
Get well
I
soon.
really am. I really am. And Paul Berg. Top man, Anthony. True scout spirit. Oh, lovely.
Thank
Paul
you,
Berg.
Paul. That's lovely. Thank you.
I'm going to start this thing. Yeah, look. I've got 4 Liverpool tattoos, Frankie. I know you have. I know you have, Darryl, because he's a big red, you see. Anyway, you know when you see this,
Wow.
Sir Alfred's Waterhouse designed this. And at the time, Anthony, at the time, this was the biggest hotel in the entire world. It had 370 rooms. 370 rooms it had. And it was the biggest hotel anywhere. It's hard to believe, I know, but like there was bigger buildings, but less rooms. Do you see what I mean? Hotels that I'm talking about. And it's gone back to its former glory. Just look at that picture.
Yeah.
Just look at the architecture.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna
I'm sorry, go on.
We're going to have to get in there, Frank, for a cup of tea.
Yeah. And you know what? When I show people, I show them something. I'm not going to tell them now because I want to take these people around. I want to meet up with these people and we'll meet on the plateau. And when I show them about this, they're in awe. They go, wow, wow. You see what I mean? I won't tell them what it is until they come down and then I show them. And they just, honestly, Anthony, they just go, wow. Now, Sir Alfred's Waterhouse, he's one of our greatest, to be honest. He's one of our greatest architects.
Yeah.
And when he was like shall we say, learning his trade. See, these architects, especially from the 19th century, they went over to Europe and they were going all around everywhere. They went to Rome, obviously. They went to Athens, obviously. All these wonderful places. Now, when this was built, you had the neoclassical buildings, but he had the same brick. And he said, I'm going to do something different, just something different. And this is what he did, because he actually seen a structure. And everybody who goes abroad, and I'm talking about these architects, when they go abroad, they go, wow, something inspires them. And even at home, something inspires them.
Yeah.
And I'll show you what inspired. I'll show everybody. I'll show you what inspired him. And then you'll go, wow. Honestly, you'll go, wow, like everybody else said, wow. Now, look at that. Look at the Stebble Fountain.
Yeah.
The Stebble Fountain. People say, well, what was all that about, the Stebble Fountain? I'll tell you what it was all about. This was going to be a Roman forum. because what you see, all this neoclassical stuff here is at St George's Hall. It was going to go from the monument of Wellington and to go where the Sessions House, we'll be coming to that in a moment, right down, right across where the Mersey Tunnel is today. That wouldn't have existed there today, to be honest, if they would have done what they wanted to do, go down and then carry on up St John's Lane. So the whole place would have been a Roman forum everywhere, a Roman forum. And when you go to Rome, you see wonderful things, absolutely wonderful things. The likes of, for example, where you see the Walker Gallery, and you see Liverpool personified, which is the statue on the top. And believe it or not, that statue was made from Chinese marble. Chinese marble. And what's on there, you can just about see it a little on the left-hand side as you're looking at it. And it's the fourth liver bird, because there's 4 standing liver birds in Liverpool.
Wow.
And the other, you've got the 2 on the liver building, but you've got another one, which is the 3rd one. Now you've got that one overlooking the city and the people. You've got the 3rd one that overlooks the city, but they're not the main ones, because the main ones overlooks the sailors and, you know, everybody else that goes away to sea. Even migrants, they look after them to sea. The other one that looks into the city is looking after the people left back here in Liverpool. And that's one of them. You say, yeah, look, Jason, I love Jason, you know. Just love him. Just watch this. There you go. That's the fourth liver bird overlooking the city. And the lady, you know, people think that she's Britannia. It's not Britannia. It's just Liverpool personified. And it's, as I said, it's Chinese marble.
It's beautiful.
People don't realise what's here in Liverpool. They really don't.
I could stand in that spot by Stella Fountain for hours and just look in any direction.
Any direction.
You're just filled with just. It's just like the greatest work of art in the city.
Yeah.
Is that area? Is that spot?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Spot on.
And I totally get what you say about the architects who in their own right are genius, but when they go somewhere and they're inspired and they don't come back and bring it, copy something, they adapt and you create something absolutely unseen.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
No, that's what I mean. It was going to go right down there, then come across from which is now the museum, right? It was going to come across along along to the likes of St John's Gardens, then up St John's Lane, all that right around. So it was going to be the forum. Now, there's a couple of things here that I'd like to point out, right? I'd like to point out. First, I've got to go back to the other one, right? Hang on, to the first one. Now look at the roofs there, right? Just look at the roofs there, the towers and that. Now when I go up to this, and if you look at the bottom left of the picture, not the neoclassical stuff, you can see the towers there, can't you?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it was the same architect. That's that's where Dr. Duncan's is now today. It was the same architect, Sir Alfred Waterhouse, and you can tell the architect's works. You get to know them. You go, oh, that was such a body. That was such a body as well. But what I want to show you is if we go right over to the right of the picture, what you see there is a round dome, which is a library, by the way, and it was built as a library. Now, Cornelius Sherlock, who was actually the architect, he went over to Rome and he seen this particular building, and he went, wow, wow, right in the center of Rome. And it's my favorite building of anywhere else in the world. It's 2,000 years old. The architect was none other than Emperor Hadrian, who built the wall, because his hobby was architecture. So he designed the Pantheon. And when Cornelius Sherlock looked at the Pantheon in Rome, he was looking at it and he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe it. And he was looking at the dome. Now, the dome wasn't fully integrated into one big dome. He couldn't do it. So he left a hole in the top. And look at that. There's a hole left in the top of that. And it's without the portcullis, to be honest, going around. He's just left it round like the Pantheon. If you take away the columns and everything else, it's just round. And it's one of my favorite buildings, to be honest. One of my favorite buildings. And you look at it and you go, wow. You see what I mean about great architects and their imagination is carried away. I'll have to go back to, bear with me. And when you see the Walker Gallery, that was built by a chap by the name of J.J. Souls. Now, Souls, he was an incredible architect. He really was an incredible architect, and he was absolutely delighted with what was going on, because the Sessions House was already built. And he went, wow. So what he did, now what we've got, to be honest, is Roman and Greek, temples. And you can tell by the columns.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the Sessions House, the columns are just flat. And they were there Roman. Those columns are Corinthian columns, which is Greek. So you've got Greek and Roman architecture, the neoclassical, all the new classics, in the 19th century. And this is Liverpool for you. This is the city that gets called a slum, which for some reason
I think the magic of that area. So we've talked about it often, but if people can imagine getting off the train at Lime Street, not having seen any of this, then walking as far as just this tip where we are on the right-hand side, so you can look at the art gallery in the library, and then you look back and you can see St. George's Hall and everything. It is like nothing, certainly nothing in England comes close to that view. It's just amazing. Would they have had a committee or a team that would work with the architects and say, no, it's got to fit in, or would the architects themselves have their own quality control so that they knew?
Well,
they
it's
knew.
like that. It's like that building.
Yeah,
It's like, you know, as I said, set out for the Waterhouse, he wanted to blend in with the stonework.
yeah,
Everything is with the stonework. So we blended everything in with the stonework. And as you can see, you've only got to go back to, I'm sorry there, boys, hang on. Sorry. You've only got to go back to the stonework there
yeah,
and the stonework all there.
yes,
Everything is all blended in, no matter what, whether it's a different building. And I want to go back to this after the break, if you don't mind. So we'll have a little break. I hope you just let me go through some these things here. Paul Bear, top man. Oh yeah, I've said that. Gary says magnificent building.
yeah,
Red Bear, stunning architecture. Paul Bear, wow, great stuff. Gary again, shame they knocked down Commutation Road. Tell me about it, Gary, please tell me about it. And there's your Commutation Road. I'm going to say something here about that. On that Commutation Road, I said at the time they were trying, you know, there was rumour to be pulling it down. I said, you cannot pull it down. Do you know the historical significance of Commutation Row? And they were all, well, you know, they never had a clue, you know, the councillors never had a clue about any Liverpool history, about Liverpool architecture or anything. Honestly, they didn't. Please, they didn't. And I'm going to tell you something that will be devastating for you to hear. In the 80s, early 80s, do you know what they wanted to knock down? Shall I tell you?
yeah.
Where you held your 100 heads in St. George's Hall.
St. George, you're joking.
No, they wanted to build a car park
Oh,
for the city. I always remember when it shut down for refurbishment, the manager at the time got hold of me and he said, Frank, would you give a series of lectures twice a week? You know, we're closing it down in the September. This was the April. And I said, what about? He said, everything, Liverpool history, you know, would you do that for us? And I went, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll do that. No problem whatsoever. So I went in twice a week on the Tuesday and on the Thursday. I gave trials, you know, I talked about murders and the trials in the courtrooms. I talked about everything, you know, within the hall itself. Talked about other pieces of history for right up till the September, twice a week. And I went outside and I was standing by Lord Beaconsfield's statue, which was Disraeli. And I was standing by him, I was smoking there, I was having a little fag. And an old boss of mine came over to me. And good fella, great fella, radical. And he said, Frank, I said, what? He said, you're very lucky, aren't you? Because he asked me what I was doing there. I told him I'm giving a series of lectures. And he said, you're lucky, aren't you, that we never got our hands on real hands to knock this place down. That was in.
God.
That was in, he wanted to knock it down at 83 or 84 or something like that.
Oh my God.
Just imagine that. So, but anyway, I said to these people who knocked down, unfortunately, who knocked down Commutation Row, I said, there's one significant thing there. I said, and what it is, it's Sir Edwin Ruston. I said, he opened up, and I showed him the building. I said, he opens up the very first blind school in the world in 1794. 1794. And he went, well, you know, that was they were the replies I was getting. So you can imagine my frustration at these silly people.
Absolutely.
More or less, so what? We're knocking it down. And they knocked it down. That could have been a museum today. The first blind school in the entire world.
Yeah.
Sir Edwin Ruston. Because he's seen what was going on with the blind people. Imagine. And he said, I'll get them, I'll do something. And they were making baskets. He learned them how to make baskets so they could earn money. It's shocking what was going on. I'm not just talking about like what was happening in Liverpool. It was all over the country. You know, blind people, crippled people. They don't know the full history of what was going on in this country and anywhere else, to be honest. Anywhere else in the world. We never looked after these poor people.
No.
And don't forget that there was lots of soldiers who was blinded during battles for the realm. There was also many sailors who was, you know, going to these places, like in Africa, for example, and these little worms got into the heel and into the tendons, and they just went in and through the body and made them blind. I forget what it was called. I forget the worm. But anyway, what I'm going to do, Anthony, I'm going to have a quick break. I'll see you in about 5 or 10 minutes.
That's great, Frank.
On October the 16th, 1883, there were two sisters known as the Black Widows, and they were arrested and charged with at least 4 murders. Today, they'd be known as serial killers. The two sisters, Catherine Flanagan and Margaret Higgins, were urged on by sheer greed. They lived around the Scotland Road area, Skirving Street, Latimer Street, and finally Ascot Street. In 1883, people did not move around. They stayed there for life. So what were these two sisters trying to hide? Could it be the fact that family members and lodgers were missing? So, who were the victims of the Black Widows? John Flanagan, 21 years of age, the son of Catherine Flanagan. Thomas Higgins, the husband of Margaret Higgins. Mary Higgins, aged 10, the stepdaughter of Margaret Higgins. Margaret Jennings, 18 years of age, a lodger. Each victim was slowly poisoned and died in agony. The deceased, Thomas Higgins' brother, Patrick Higgins, had thought something afoot here because he was very sharp. And what had happened, he found out that his brother, Thomas, had been heavily insured for £150. He informed the police in turn informed the coroner, and the coroner had stopped the funeral right away. 150 quid doesn't sound much today, but in those days, 1883, it would buy you 2 terraced houses. The police ordered the other bodies to be exhumed, and after the autopsy, they found out that every single one of them had died in the same way. They were poisoned. After the arrest of both Catherine Flanagan and Margaret Higgins, it was here on the 14th of February 1884 at St George's Hall they stood trial. And isn't it such an intimidating place? The trial had lasted 3 days, and the jury found him guilty. And it was from here that they were led to the holding cell, awaiting their fate. And this was the holding cell that the both sisters, the Black Widows, Catherine Flanagan and Margaret Higgins, had to wait and then brought up to Kirkdale Jail. The cell itself looked very basic, nicely whitewashed walls. But believe you me, in 1884, when they were condemned to die, these cells were a horrible green colour. Dank, wet, vermin running around. So you can imagine the 2 women sitting here, waiting to be taken away. Here's something. What if they wanted to spend their last penny of the insurance money? Have a look at this. It's a loo. But it's no ordinary loo. What's missing? Well, I'll tell you what's missing. It's the chain, just in case you want to. Couldn't have that in a condemned cell. And here's the flush when they had to use it. When they were taken from here to Kirkdale Jail, the most notorious in Europe, in fact, Lubyanka in Russia was actually based on Kirkdale Jail. And it was there on the 3rd of March 1884 that both Catherine Flanagan and Margaret Higgins were hanged side by side in Kirkdale's execution shed. during a snowstorm. And there ends the sad story of the 2 Scotland Road Black Widows.
Wow. You know what? It probably sounds horrible to say, but I love those Victorian stories you tell, the melodramas. Only if they've caught the bad guys. I don't like the.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like all. I like films that even they get the comeuppance. If you
Yeah,
know, you're just watching a film.
all the time. But for you to take us to the places as well, and I've been to those places with
Yeah.
you a couple of times, and it's spooky enough just to be accused and be in there, never mind to be found guilty.
Well, well, funny enough, you're saying that. I'll give you the little thing. What it was when I was giving these lectures, as I said, from the April until the September, before the refurbishment.
Yeah.
I used to take them down into the holding cell.
Yeah.
Anyway, this time I was given about a murder. And don't forget that people were just, even if they were innocent, they were just found guilty. Right. So I was given this thing about this murder. And I said, I've got to go down to the cell, because I used to bring them into the cells, the holding cell, especially where they used to be. So I said, I'll bring this down there, but I've got to go down to make sure everything is all right. So anyway, I went down to the, to get into the holding cell. Now, before you got into the holding cell, right at the bottom of the steps, there was a flimsy door. And I tried to open it, and it wouldn't open. Honestly, it wouldn't open. And it's as though someone was holding it back. Not like something's jammed. And I tried everywhere. I even looked to see if there was one of them door stoppers to stop you from opening it. Nothing there. Absolutely zilch. So I went back up. Now, the people who were there, came along to see the lectures. There's quite a few of them. And there was one young fella, must have been about 19, 20, and he was fascinated by all this. So I came up and I said, listen, I'm awfully sorry, I won't be able to bring you down. I can't open the door. Can't open the door, unfortunately. That leads us into the cell. This lad goes down. Now, the flimsy door at the bottom of the cell, it's just plain door. That's all it was, but it was very, very flimsy. You could open it with your finger, if you know what I mean. You could do. And anyway, this young lad said, I'll go. I said, no. I said, no. I tried to stop him. I tried to stop him from going down, because I could have got into trouble without securing everything, you see.
Yeah.
I was told that. So I said, no problem. But anyway, he shot down. He was too quick for me. Within, I'd say, 10 seconds, that's all, he come shooting out from up the stairs to where I was standing, which I was standing in the dock talking to the people. And he ran past me and ran out. He ran out. Never said a word. And you could see that the lad was terrified. So whatever it was. Never seen him after that. He just ran off. That lad.
Wow.
Anyway, let's see what these lads say. As I said, Gary Rigby says, shame be knocked down. Yeah, there is conversation though. It's the first row of buildings in the whole of the country as well that was exempt to window tax. That's why you've got all these windows in it. The first row of buildings that was exempted from building window tax. I'm sorry. Paul Bear could be the Roman Empire. We are blessed. Yeah, you're right there, Paul. Yeah. Absolutely. Gary, knock down St. George's Hall. That's ridiculous.
Car park.
And will pay. I just don't get why they knock down beautiful buildings. Most just need refurbished, not knocking them down. It's bloody shame. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it is. It is, unfortunately. The Liverpool Council in the 80s must have been on some strong drugs, says Christopher. No, what it was just like, they saying it was progress, but I say it was vandalism, criminal vandalism, knocking these buildings down. And there was a lot of money to be made as well.
It was fun.
Most big cities have some sort of fast-track transit transport, trams, 4 attempts that I know of, and we still don't have one. I'll tell you something now, Will. Liverpool had the blueprint for the very first tram system in the world. We said, when I was going to work, so what we did, we went over to Birkenhead and we gave them the tram system to see how it would work back in Liverpool. And it was a huge success. So you've got the likes of Birkenhead that has the very first tram system in the world.
Yeah. Woodside still works now. I think it's one weekend in a year they do like an open day. The tram centre still there.
Still there today, yeah. And Paul Burke says, whereabouts in Kirkdale was the Nick Frank? St. John's up by Westminster Road. And it goes down towards Commercial Road. There it is, look, Jason. He's put us up. There's where it is. There's where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there was kind of a famous police station there, wasn't there?
Yeah. But you know, the jail itself, where St. John's School is, when the bell rings, you know, for the kids to go in to the playground, you know, from the playground into the school itself, you know, after playtime or dinner time and time to go home.
Yeah.
What had happened was that particular bell was the bell for the executions. That was the death knell. Ding, ding. You know, as the prisoner was led out.
Yeah.
Incredible. That bell had some history. Isn't that brilliant? It's nice. They play football on it now, on the actual, you know, the greenery there. The actual play football, like they've got pitches, 5-a-side and things. The Liverpool vlogs. Hello, Frank. Hope you're well. Hi, Tony. Just wondering, Frank, have you ever been in the oldest house in Liverpool, which I believe is a farmhouse in Tuebrew? I read there is a priest hole there too. There's loads all over the country, to be honest. Vlogs. There's a lot. The oldest house, I believe, a farmhouse in Tuebrew. The thing is, vlogs, there's an older house than that, and that's down Garston Way. Believe it or not, there's an older house than that. There's like I used to teach there, which I was made up with, very humbled. And that was the first grammar school in the Northwest. And a fellow by the name of John Nellens, who was the antiquary and librarian to Henry VIII, he stayed there and he wrote the very first thing about Liverpool. That's older still. That's older still. The site of the St. Mary's Church, which is, up in Walton there, that was from 1060, and you've got to believe the Luftwaffe for their destroying it during the Second World War. It's incredible, absolutely, the history we've got. I'll have to carry on, boys and girls, with this. So let me add to the state. Oh, no, I don't want that. I'll be talking about that a little bit later on. And this one, I love this particular thing. Now, what you've got there is a bank, became a bank. And who built it was none other than Professor Sir Charles Cockerell. Now, you might think, who's he? Professor Sir Charles Cockerell, where his protege, I might as well say, was Harvey Lonsdale Elms, who was the architect of St. George's Hall. And Lonsdale Elms also designed and built the Collegiate, which is in Shore Street, or which is on Shore Street. He designed that. So anyway, when he got the design, when he won the competition for St. George's Hall, Harvey Lonsdale, he was only a young man, but he wasn't from Liverpool, by the way. He was from down there, Kent way. And he won the competition, and he loved Liverpool, by the way. And it was amazing because what had happened, he suffered from tuberculosis, which was rife in those days. John Keats, my favourite, one of my favourite poets, he died from it in Rome. So anyway, he was suffering. And unfortunately, his physicians, this lad who won the competition to build St. George's Hall, he sent him over to Jamaica to recuperate. And unfortunately, he died. So Professor Sir Charles Cockerell took over the building. He finished it off. Professor Sir Charles Cockerell. But he also designed the Bank of England in Castle Street. This is what he did. But that building, which is right next door to the town hall, is magnificent. We've been looking at stunning architecture. That, to me, is one of the most stunning. That particular bank. I love to show people the side of it and what's there. And I go, look at that. And it's a staircase. And people go, I didn't even knew that. But when I show them, it's incredible. It's incredible in Castle Street, to be honest. Amazing. But that building, I just love it. And this fella here who built that was a fella named Atkins. Now Atkins, look at the red brick.
Beautiful.
Down the bottom of Duke Street. It's absolutely stunning building. Look at it. Stunning. And when you think about this Atkins also designed another building in Liverpool, which to me, and what's going on with it, is an absolute disgrace. And when I tell you, you go, yeah, you'll agree. Now, I've graduated on no less than 4 occasions, and I used to go in there for a drink, and that is the Wellington Rooms, known as the Irish Centre.
Oh, beautiful building.
And it's going to rack and ruin. It's going to rack and ruin. All because of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I've lost touch now. But the only saving grace I can say is what I hope to see was the collegiate. You know, I mentioned the collegiate that Alvy Lonsdale Elms built on Shore Street, because they wanted to knock that down after a fire gutted it. I said, no, don't. The historical significance, and I told them about the historical significance of it. And the historical significance was Alvy Lonsdale Elms design and building St. George's Hall. You see, but you know, to our credit, yeah, great, we saved it. Also, was the Lyceum at the bottom of Bow Street. Now, that was built in 1801. Well, it wasn't built it opened its doors in 1801, and it was built from 1796. So it opens its doors in 1801, and they wanted to knock that down. And I said, do you know the historical significance of that? I said, the likes of Charles Dickens went in there. The likes of William Roscoe went in there, the greatest Liverpoolian. I was mentioning all these names. Mark Twain went in there, you know. They just don't know anything. But anyway, I saved it, and I was absolutely delighted. And the well, not a final one. The other one was in Calderstones, because what they wanted to knock down there was the White Mansion House. I said, don't you know anything about the White Mansion House? I said, haven't you a clue? I said, the White Mansion House was the ancestral home of Sir Spencer Perceval, the only British Prime Minister to be assassinated on the 11th of May, 1812, and you're wanting to knock this down. Well, anyway, that was saved. And the other one, I always remember the lovely Freddie O'Connor rang me up. He said, Frank, can you do something? Can you get down here? I said, where are you? And anyway, I went down. He said, we've got to save this. And what they wanted to knock down, I don't know whether I've told you, Anthony, they wanted to knock down the post house in Cumberland Street.
Yeah.
And look at all the people that were Dickens drinking there.
Oh,
Mark Twain drinking there. Mark Twain. The likes of Nathaniel Hawthorne. He was a consul. He was here. He was a consul here, American consul. He wrote the Scarlet Letter. You know, he drank in there. And just ridiculous. And I think that's why Freddie says he can name it. He drank in there. You know? And I told him the Big H is supposed to have drank in there as well when he first came to Liverpool. That was Adolf Hitler.
And Mr. Dickens, Charles Dickens.
Yeah, Dickens. It's just Gary Rigby. The Libro, and now Littlewoods Tower, my childhood memories. God, that's an absolute disgrace what they did about the tower. I didn't know anything about that. to be honest, Gary, until you told me a few weeks ago. Excuse me. And RDM further on. Evening, my lads. Hope you are well. Greetings, all those.
Oh,
Frank and Anthony, a warm mug of cocoa for a middle of the week. I'll be having a cocoa later, to be honest. Gets me asleep.
thank you. Sure.
And the red bear. Criminal vandalism, you're spot on, Frank. I've always said that, to be honest, Redbird. I'll carry on with this, boys, if you don't. I'll just say about the Liverpool blogs. I know we have two of them small buildings. They used to keep the drunks in there years ago, which is on the EFC crest. There's one of them, and one of them, and yeah, that's right. But we're there anymore around the city, Frank. That got bulldozed. Yeah, loads of them. The one in, see, there's a lot of, shall I say, myth surrounding the one, excuse me, the one in Everton, for example. They were saying that Prince Rupert built that when he came here during the English Civil War between May and June 1644. He didn't build it. He never had time. He was only here 18 days. There's no way that he built it. And also the myth that, we built tunnels leading down to the castle. That's ridiculous. That was actually built, that particular tower, to lock up the drunks in Everton. And even some, believe it or not, some people going to be hanged, condemned people, in Moss Street, top of London Road. They were kept in there too. And that was built in 1787. Not between May and June 1644. Good shout, that, blogs. Really good shout. And when you look at our skyline there, first and foremost, I don't like the museum. That should have been built somewhere else. I don't like at all those black granite buildings. I've always disliked them. That particular site, I was the historical consultant for Liverpool One during the building of Liverpool One. And they mentioned that. I said, don't build anything on it. Do not build anything on it. Because one of the plans, which would have been fantastic for that site, where those black granite building is in that museum, was a big garden, for passengers off the, for us as well, for ordinary Liverpool citizens, but also the passengers of these liners that come in. A beautiful garden. I've seen the plans, which was fantastic. But
Was that cloud, Frank?
no, the clouds. That was there was one of those submissions, submitted into, for that site. And one of them was absolutely magnificent. And they asked the people of Liverpool to pick, which ones. I picked the second. And what it was a beautiful, it was fantastic. I forget his name, who designed this. Big international architect. And he had a lovely, beautiful, round building. Beautiful it was. With a wave going around it. A wave. All glass. And, it gave something back to the sea, if you know what I mean. The wave, this wave is beautiful. And I voted for that because I took all my students down And I'll tell you where we voted, because you had the taste to vote in the Walker Gallery. So they were all voting, and every one of them voted for that. What I voted for, I never influenced them, by the way, because we was looking at big pictures of them, you know, obviously computerized pictures. And every one of them voted for this one, the wave. But as you know, the cloud won the thing, won the competition. And the cloud, if that was being built, it would have had, I'll show you. I love Jason, you know. Really do. If it was a girl, I'd marry him.
Yeah.
And that could be seen from space. That could be seen from space. And that's what he did. That's what he did. And when Mike Story, I go mad at this. When Mike Story turned around and said, oh, it'll cost too much. So we never got one. We didn't get anything at all. We never got it. We didn't even get under that bloody council. We're the only major city in the entire country who didn't get a Millennium building through this lot. We're the only city who didn't get a Millennium building. Every other major city in the country got these wonderful buildings for the new millennium. We didn't. There was loads of things, and oh yeah, look at this. There was one such one. I forget who was the architect, unfortunately, and it was magnificent. This was going to be on Shavas Park, and it was magnificent. And what the press, what the council did, it was Bill Davis. Bill Davis owned the land, and he said, "Hang on a minute, you haven't even approached me." And he just more or less told him, "Oh, shut up and go away." And it was diabolical the way they treated Bill Davis. Diabolical. But he said, "You're not building on there. If you want to, you'll have to pay me for the land." He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. So we never got a Millennium building. And that's the crying shame. But if we would have built the cloud, just imagine that today. Everything was self-cleaning as well, by the way. It was all self-cleaning. And there's going to be a museum and everything in there. And what does we do? What does we do? We decided that's too much, and we built that. I don't like it at all, that museum. It's a nice museum, but it's in the wrong place. I like it. Very rare that I go in there, unfortunately, because I just don't like it. It should never be. And those black granite buildings, so they were the cheap take. I always remember the fella who designed those black granite buildings. People was complaining to. They were saying, "We don't like them. But, they're out of place with the other buildings, And he turned around and said, "Not bothered." Not bothered, because he came from Warrington. He had nothing at all to do with Liverpool. And as you know, the pictures that people always took, the most photographed, was through an arch by the Albert Dock, looking over at the likes of the Port of Liverpool, the Liver building, and in the middle, the Cunard building. That was the most photographed in Liverpool. That just underneath that arch, magnificent, and that's gone. That thing, that view, has gone forever. But that's the way it is. Thanks to you for showing that, mate. But that's a magnificent thing, isn't it? That brings you right up to the space age. Gone. But as I said, you know, those things I just don't like them at all. And look at those. Look at that. Look at that. When you look at the likes of the Liver building, if you like, was the very first building in the entire world to have a steel and reinforced concrete building in the world. Isn't it fantastic?
Oh, amazing. Amazing. You could not imagine it not being there.
No.
Those beautiful buildings, you couldn't. I mean, I remember as a kid going down to the pier head, which was always busy, always the smell of fish and chips and everything going on, and it's just like Liverpool is built around them.
Yeah, it's nostalgic, isn't it? The building itself is nostalgic.
Yeah, I know that.
Go on.
Just the sight of them is because we had the privilege of exhibiting in the three of the buildings, and the first one was the Liver building, and you had people getting off the boats and coming in, obviously, to see the Liver building, and most of the expats, or Scousers who'd gone to live in America, Spain, whatever, had said that the moment they saw the waterfront with the Liver buildings, Cunard, and they were just in floods of tears because it brought everything back from when they left when they were kids. And I can totally get that. It does me when we go to town, just to sit there on the waterfront. Well, we both loved the bones of St. Nick's Church, which was, of course, just at the back there.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and you just feel like you're part of it.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Because you are a part of it. Anything in Liverpool, you're a part of. Everything. And when you see these things and you walk around, but when I walk around and I can point out things there, but I can't show you now because it's not there. But I think the bike crew are still looking in, so I want to surprise them. But I do show things and they go, "Wow, I didn't even know that."
Wow.
I couldn't. It's like if you look at the Liver building from there and what the birds are standing on, which is brilliant. A fella named Karl Bernhard Bartels, who was a German, he designed the birds. And what he put them on, these domes, well, you see little domes all over the place. All these little domes, they're not just up there, what the birds are standing on, they're on. They're everywhere, the little domes. But they represent eggs.
Yeah.
It's a nest. The top of the Liver building is a nest. And why the birds' wings are out is that they just hatched.
Yeah.
They just hatched. And I was down there in 2012 for the 100th anniversary, for the 100th anniversary of the birds going on top of the library. Those birds.
Yeah.
And the Bartles family were here.
Wow.
Met a couple.
I mean, this is kind of another story, and I don't want to interrupt tonight, but it's just,
Go on.
We've talked often and fondly of Liverpool's greatest gift is its people, and it's so-called immigrants. We come from Ireland and Italy and Germany and wherever. And he designed them, which, again, no Scouser could imagine them not being there.
No.
But there was a point where he was sent away, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And they scribbled his name out of the books, and so they tried to vanquish any trace of him because he was German.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll tell you what happened to, I think you know.
Yeah.
And what has happened to this lad? When war broke out, 2 years later, First World War, he was incarcerated in the Isle of Man. Right? He was incarcerated as an alien. Because he was German. They didn't give a toss what he did or anything, if you know what I mean. I'm going to show you something on here in a moment. I've got to tell you what happened to him. So he's in the Isle of Man. And he was like young Scottish lads, soldiers who was, there at this, like, olden place, And every day, always seeing these young lads, young soldiers, said, "When the war is over, I will take my birds back home, Schweins." That's what he used to say. And they thought he was nuts. He said, "Hey, Sarge, what the fuck are these birds this fella's going on?" And he was the first German to be repatriated back home because they thought he was nuts. He used to say that, "I will take my birds back home. When all this is over, I will take my birds back home." I sound like fucking Benny Hill, don't I? But anyway, that's... Or, okay, if you look at that picture, right? Look at it. Look to the right, Anthony.
Yeah.
Look to the right. I wonder if I can...
That's the wave.
Oh, yeah. I can't afford to cancel that, right? That's the wave. Yeah, look at that. See it now?
Yeah.
I look at Jason, I think I done that, to be honest. I think I brought it. There's the big tower he wanted.
Yeah.
Which was magnificent. And look at the wave. Look at that wave. Imagine that being there now today. Or even the cloud. Even the cloud. I forget the name of the, I think you know, who was the architect of the cloud?
Oh, you know what? I had his name before we were talking, I've forgotten. But I will research it and have it for Monday.
No, it's okay. Honestly, I'll tell you for a while.
Monday. But
the fella, he spent millions, He brought all his company up from London.
Yeah.
And he spent millions, and he never got any compensation or nothing, that man. forget his name myself. See, the fella who designed, I'll have to go back again, and I'm awfully sorry about this, but isn't that brilliant?
Yeah.
Let me. I love chasing, you know. Will also.
That's the chap. Yes. Yes.
Incredible, isn't it?
Highly acclaimed before we
Oh, yeah.
went to Liverpool.
Will also. He lost millions. And he said, it's not the people of Liverpool. It's the bloody politician. Didn't I feel sorry for him?
Yeah. He went to another major city, didn't he, after here?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as they do, and as you've talked us through, really, the genius of architecture is that they create something which is so desirable that someone else will say, "Wow, we want one of them in our city."
Yeah. Well,
And
it's like a marine. We got a marine. This architect came in, and it would have been on the site right next to, shall we say, the new buildings. You know, like where the hotel is, and where that, you know, on the waterfront, right next to the Liver building.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Forget the name of the hotel, and you know, other little buildings. Well, they were going to build a marine there, a marine, big
okay.
marine, like, do you know, like the pineapple thing in Cornwall? You know, one of those pineapple things where there's everything, and they're magnificent. Well, they was going to build one of these things, and I think it was Enshaw and Story, it was them, who went like that, nah, we don't want it. And they said, well, I thought you wanted a marine. It was a magnificent building, all glass, marine, everything would have been marine, sharks, you name it, would have been in there, everything. And he said, but, you know, you're one of the main ports of the world, one of the most historical ports in the world. You should have this. This is what you want. And again, I know too much. Reminds me of Liverpool owners, to be honest. Too much.
Well, we are.
But get on to this. Here's what happened. The architect and, you know, his team, they went down, back down south, and they went to I think Rochester, and they built it there. And Rochester is a landlocked city or town, whatever it is. Landlocked, nothing at all to do with the sea, and it gets millions and millions of tourists every year.
Wow.
And they said, no, we'll have it now. And he said, too late. The fella just turned around and said, too late. Just shocking the way it's gone in this city.
Yeah.
Really has, you know, especially with the wing. I love that wing. So for the last I just love that wing. I voted for that. And all my students did as well. All my students did.
That is more in fitting with water.
Yeah, there it is. Look, of the night, this is how it would have been of the night.
Yeah.
Isn't that magnificent?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Imagine that today.
And the whole thing of the river and the water, you
Yeah.
see it in that building, just to flow.
Well, right next door, if you like. Now think about this, Anthony. It was before that museum was, not museum, I'm sorry, that hotel was built. It's right on the water. I've given a couple of speeches there, and I forget the bloody name of it. Anyway, whatever it is, right next door. Could you imagine? Right, that marine thing there, massive glass dome
Yeah,
full of all marine animals, if you like.
yeah,
A marine. It's just going to be called the marina, and it would have brought in millions upon millions of tourists.
absolutely.
You know, we can't get anything right,
No.
which is sad. Which is so sad, and that's the way it is. W. Aubrey Thomas, who designed, I'll have to go back again, just I'll finish on this, if I might. W. Aubrey Thomas, you know, who designed, the liver, right? He also designed the tower building. He also designed that. And when I show people what's there, they go, wow, wow. You know, because I explained something, tower building, and they love it. You know, so W. Aubrey Thomas was one of the great architects of Liverpool. I just love that architect. What I'll do, Anthony, next week, I'll carry on with the architecture.
Yeah.
That's okay with you.
Oh, I would love it, yeah.
Next Monday. And I'm going to start at 8 o'clock next Monday. No, I won't. I'll have to start at 7 because I do something now. So 7 o'clock next Monday.
Yeah.
I'll do a special one. But also what I want to talk about next Monday, because I'm halfway through the architecture, is that Horsfall's monster wrought iron gun. Now that gun was the first gun, or the first, gun fired, whether it was big or whether it was small pistol or whatever, of the American Civil War.
Wow.
Right, the Horsfall gun. And it was made in Sefton Street here in Liverpool.
Oh my word.
But there's loads of, honestly, there's loads of firsts with Liverpool and how we got involved in the American Civil War. So I'll be talking all about that next week.
Brilliant.
If you'll join me.
I would love
Monday.
to, Frank. Yeah.
Isn't it lovely?
Fantastic.
The Will Pieces. And how shameful. It's been closed. The Birkenhead Tram Museum. It was given to a one-man company who doesn't give two hoots about the trams or its history. He wouldn't let the staff in for months. Didn't even know that.
You know more than me, Will. I live not too far from it, but that's such a shame. Such a shame that it left Liverpool, but...
And there's the Liverpool vlogs, which is a cracking thing as well. I wonder why they knocked down Walton Hall. No one knows why they did it. They just wanted to get shut of it. That was an historical home. Historical home. So vlogs, you're so right. Walton Hall was a magnificent, it's very similar to, shall I say, Croxteth Hall, very similar, and Speed Hall, very similar. And no more Slam Open days, Anthony says.
Wow.
And Gary says, the old school in Luton is one of the oldest buildings in the country, says Gary Rigby. Yes. I went down to Luton, you know, to give a talk. And little did I know that it was a you know, they all had a meal and whatever, and, you know, it was all a nice setting, actually. I forget where it was. But they were all having a bevy. And they just didn't want to listen to anything. So I kicked off on them. You know, and they felt embarrassed, you know, the people who hired me. And even because you had some jobs in there, you know. Well, you want to be talking like that. We don't want to be talking. What's this fella going on about? And the vlogs. Is that the Egbert Ords on 13? Yeah, that's it, lads. That's it, vlogs. Great. And Gary, Central Station, look, you put me in a bad mood now. It's shocking what they did to Central Station. Shocking. How many firsts does the great city of ours now? Truly amazing. Great show, Frank. And thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
We'll all shop the class. Oh, yeah, he mentioned it as well.
Yeah.
The Liner Hotel, Frank. I'll give a few talks there at the Liner, to be honest. Yeah. Tara, Mike, Frank, and Anthony, love you both. Thank you, Tara.
Thanks, Tara. Good night, mate.
And the vlogs, Lee. Be great if you did a Liverpool Castle show sometime. What was there before it? Who built and lived there? Who visited if no? What outbuildings had there? Look, you've got an outbuilding there, vlogs. And I used to tell people that it was a toilet, the poshest urinal on the planet. And it was built in approximately 1235. And it was started by the very first sheriff of Liverpool, William de Ferris. William de Ferris. And he built that. He said, all right, lads, let's build a castle. So that particular building, say here, let me show you, let me see, that, where is it? That, I'm sorry, this here was the church, St. Mary Del Keys. That was the living quarters of the sheriff and his family there. These turrets were for soldiers. They were for soldiers. And that's all I mentioned there. When people came, you know, dignitaries, you know, whatever, and they all wanted to go to Mass, they couldn't fit into the church, St. Mary Del Keys. So this was an anti-church. So anyone who couldn't fit in there had to go there for the service. That's what that was about. So I've spoken about the castle loads of times, to be honest. What you see here, hang on, where am I? Oh, you can't see it. You're a bloody nuisance, Lee. You've got the drawbridge here, right? Got the drawbridge there. And that just goes into what you call James Street today, right?
Yeah.
And leads into Castle Street. This moat that went right around, so you had it going around, right around. And the one that came under the drawbridge there, terrible this, the coordination. There, the one that's there, going over the bridge, going over the moat. Well, this moat ran down here, ran down there. This is terrible, this. Straight down there. And that's where Lord Street came about. Lord Street's named after the Lord mowing. I've spoke about it loads of times.
Really.
A lot of finish on here. The vlogs. And many photos, if you can find out. Yeah, no problem. I'll show you. I've got I'll get the other fella there, Jason, to put on the actual design of it. And I'll do all that next week. Great show, says the Redbird, but also it makes my blood boil knowing the destruction of our magnificent city. See you on Anthony next time. Yes, next Monday. Next Monday, to see us. Great show, boys. Thank you, says Paul Burke. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
Made
Paul.
up the lad stays with us. Made up.
Yeah.
And Will Kay agreed to the Redbird. Makes me so angry at the shameless destruction. Yes, Will Kay, sickening, isn't it, says the Redbird. I'll just finish on these three. Right? The Liverpool. I'm causing murder on the Frankie Carlyle show here. Thanks, Frank. Have a nice night, both of you. You always cause murder, you, mate. Anyway, but I'll do that for you next week. I'll give you the history of the castle because it's incredible history, to be honest. We all know what magnificent buildings got knocked down, but people forget about all the pubs used to be under. I would say it's a fancy took me shopping last week. I'm just talking in general. I'm driving up, to the supermarket. And I said, just imagine, and we passed the church. I said, they're flats now. And that was St. Sylvester's. I said, that's their flats now. I said, imagine all over the country, all the churches that are becoming flats.
I know.
Mad. Christopher.
You couldn't imagine that happening in our day. You could not imagine that churches and pubs would go because they were the landmarks of every city and every town.
The thing is, we tried to, I don't know, all the novelty of wine bars, trying to be posh,
That was
and we started to get wine bar knocking down pubs, but at least we've saved some. Right in the middle of town as well, we've got the Settle, we've got the Old in the Wall, we've got Rigby's, so we're very, very lucky in that school.
Great ones.
Very lucky.
Some still in the city. I remember you talking once, we were talking about old buildings and mentioning the Black Bull in Walton Vale. That's a historic, goes way back in time, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
That's my birth town is just at the back of that, where I was born in Walton Vale. And I remember you talking about it and being quite proud. The areas.
Well, brick wall around there. Fantastic. Chris, like Frank and Anthony, up early.
Oh,
up the arty vets. Twisted up there. And Will. Good night, Shaw. Good night, Will. Maze up you came.
Night, Will.
Stays with us. Paid up. And the vlogs. Yes, Gary. One of them was the Bluebell Pub in 90. Very old, lovely building demolished for a horrible modern medical centre.
God.
Good night, everyone. Says the vlogs.
Good night.
Arthur Schofield. I fell. After we finished. I remember the Bluebell. I can still name every pub which was on Wavertree Road. I'm from Edge Hill, says Gary.
Yeah.
The Scotch Piper as well, lovely. I was in a pantso up in Ormskirk, and we used to go into the Scotch Piper after the show every night. Every night. Good night, everyone, says Gary Digby.
Good night, Gary.
My pantso days are over. Like Anthony's pantso days are over. I was just going to say a big thank you to Gap Painting Services for their sponsoring the Frank Carlyle show.
Yeah.
A great big thank you to my great friends over there. That's Anthony Brown.
Thank you, Frank.
And Jason, for setting everything up. Sets everything up. Brings in pictures. He brings them in. You know what I mean? Great fella. And next week we'll carry on with the architecture, but also I'll be doing the American Civil War. Oh no, they are not, says Jason. But anyway, I'll be on next Monday, 7 o'clock, if that's okay with you. I changed the time to 8, I don't know. I just might, if you don't mind, whether it's 7 or 8.
I don't mind, Frank. I'm with you at whatever time.
The vlogs. Don't forget to give a like, everyone, before you go. That's great. Adam, the Will Piers. The Will Piers. Thank you. Thank you, vlogs, Ray. And thank you, Will P. And it's just for me to thank, as I said, Jason, Anthony, and most importantly, I've got to thank you out there who's been with me and Anthony all night long, giving wonderful comments. Sorry I couldn't read them all out, but we tried to get through as much as we could. And Arthur, his case. I just wanted to say thanks and good night. Being quietly listening in. Arthur, you should have, honestly, you should have let us know that you were there. Honestly, thank you so much, Arthur. Thank you, everybody, for joining Anthony and myself tonight, and Jason. And our sponsors, Gap Painting Services. Thank you. And I'll see all you football fans tomorrow night. Okay. Good night, Anthony. Good night.
Good night, Frank. Thank you. Good night, Jason. Thanks.
And chat.
And chat.
Ci vediamo. A domani. Ciao, Bella.